It is essential to know who and what we are before considering what God is. This is the summary and conclusion to Sex, Suffering, and Evolution, the first essay in the series, The Meaning, History, and Purpose of Civilization. In summary, as primates, our primal motivation is breeding, just like any other primate. Breeding is a competitive endeavor, where individuals subjectively select a better mate over another. Sexual competition is the cause of suffering, the perpetual struggle that propels most species to reproduce, and the driving force behind much of our behavior. For humans, this innate drive has been responsible for shaping the character of our civilization. From the good we do to the wars we wage, and the vast spectrum of human experience, it all has its roots in the function of sexual competition. In the grand scheme of things, humans have long been regarded as the pinnacle of evolution, yet we often fail to pin down the underlying reason or purpose for it all. While we may marvel at the vast and complex civilization we have constructed, we seldom consider what has driven this process. It seems unlikely that evolution and the development of civilization could be motivated, initiated, and conditioned by a simple first cause, such as sexual competition. And yet, every day, individuals seek out partners and engage in a blind, lifelong competition for survival against the fittest among us. Sexual competition is the driving force behind the dialectic, the argument that sparks progress that should not be mistaken for the well-being of the individual, but rather as a relentless movement of suffering that produces incremental change, what we call evolution. Sexual competition has been and remains the primary motivator of civilization, history, economics, art, and nearly everything else that concerns us. Humans possess a unique ability among the animal kingdom, a complex system of language that allows us to communicate with each other. With this linguistic tool, we banded together into family and clan units, using our voices to express preferences for leadership and ultimately gain an advantage in the game of sexual competition. As larger, better organized groups emerged victorious over smaller ones, solitary individuals became rare, and adaptation to the group became essential for survival. Nations were formed, and so it is from this primal competitive nature that our civilization blossomed, and this driving force is what gave birth to our history and progress. From our inherent drive to compete, a progressively advanced society arose, comprising numerous families, clans, and social groups, each striving for their own particular interests. At its core, civilization is the interplay of individual interpretations of their personal sexual preferences. Philosophy, customs, and religions codified in our behavior, each reflecting different competitive attributes of this primary motivator. These divergent perspectives fuel the dialectic, or the ongoing debates and discussions, whose conflict and resolution shape our past and future. Conclusion: despite millenniums of considering existence, we have yet to discover a rational purpose for our struggles. The best we can do is say we do this for our family, or for survival, but actually we function without a clear understanding of why we exist, or why we are driven to engage in sexual competition in the first place. Our behaviors are labeled as noble, courageous, brutal, or victorious, yet we lack a deeper meaning beyond mere existence itself. It is only in recent times that we have begun to question the absurdity of living without a clear reason. Our collective drive originates from the iteration between the many individual sexual motivations, what German philosophy refers to as the will. It is this will that fuels the dialectic, the argument that produces characteristic competition between cultures, societies, and individuals, shaping the nature of economies, sociology, and all activities between people as individuals or groups. We have built nations and civilizations, but at a cost. Individuals have become abstracted from their own lives, bound to a social and religious structure that manipulates them through their own lack of awareness. They are unaware of their purpose or what their future may hold. Despite this, individuals remain loyal and dedicated to the daily routines dictated by their cultural, national, and religious beliefs. The outcome of sexual competition has led to a range of deterministic behaviors that produce winners and losers. This division has given rise to a social hierarchy, a system of social stratification in which a small number of people at the top benefit from the labor of a large number of people at the bottom. This social hierarchy requires the enforcement of poverty, stupidity, and neglect. Poverty is necessary to keep the lower classes in their place. When people are poor, they are more likely to be desperate and willing to work for low wages. They are also more likely to be ignorant and easily manipulated. Stupidity is also necessary to keep the lower classes in their place. When people are stupid, they are less likely to challenge the status quo. They are also more likely to believe the lies that the upper classes tell them. Neglect is the final piece of the puzzle. When the upper classes neglect the lower classes, they create a breeding ground for crime, violence, and disease. This keeps the lower classes in a state of fear and desperation, making them even more susceptible to manipulation. This constant struggle between winners and losers is the root cause of wars and other forms of social conflict. We can overcome these problems by recognizing the absurdity of our behavior. We must note that we are all motivated by lust, but we can choose to act on our desires in a more cognitive and constructive way. We can choose to cooperate with each other instead of competing, and we can choose to be considerate of others. If we make these choices, we can create a more just and peaceful world.